Welcome back to the show, everybody. We got one lined up for you today. I've said it many times on this show, and I'm going to say it again right now. Everything runs on the XRP Ledger, but let's add something. Let's add the Stellar Network, too. Let's get right into it. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at BackupBradleyAbove, and everything that we're talking about here today, it's $1.899 trillion cryptocurrency market cap today. Right now, Bitcoin just sitting just below 43,000. Let me wave to my mailman. Have a great day, buddy. And then looking right here, Ethereum is $2,966 right now, just under $3,000. Cardano at $2.08 and XRP at 93 cents. Let's take a look at the range really quickly here before we get started into the news. It's 94 cents on Fiat Links. The low end of the range is 0.9130. The upper end of the range, 0.9673. Okay, here we go, getting to the news. Canada says XRP is not a security. What's the confusion here? We know Singapore's clear on it. UK's clear on it. We know Japan's clear on it. And then the question is, well, if everybody's clear on it in those regions of the world, why aren't they using it to its full-scale intended use? Well, I firmly believe that it is a global international cooperation in order to do so. I really do believe that. And we shall see soon enough. But right here, I want to remind everybody of the LIBOR rate and the SOFR rate. So the LIBOR rate is a benchmark interest rate that has been established for many, many years now for interbank usage and all of this stuff for interest rates. SOFR rate is supposed to be, and I'm not saying questioning it in any way, I'm just saying SOFR was created to eventually replace the LIBOR rate as the benchmark rate because it's supposed to be a more accurate way of collecting the information and to come up with what that rate should be. Here we see, and shout out to Rod Hop for this information here, LIBOR deadline extension would be huge relief for markets. And they're looking, at some point here, they want to graduate from LIBOR rate into SOFR rate because it's supposed to be more accurate, which I fully understand. They want a more accurate reflection of what that benchmark interest rate should be. But before we go on to this other information, I do want to remind people, Sandy O'Connor, one of the board members of Ripple, was a huge architect in coming up with the SOFR rate. The problem with transitioning from the LIBOR to SOFR is that there's many different contracts that are out here and many different styles of products and derivatives that have different expiration times. Some are daily, some are monthly, some are yearly, some are 3-5 year contracts, and none of the language in those contracts addresses the idea that you could change from what was then only LIBOR and no such thing as SOFR at the time. So in order to get everything switched over to this new benchmark interest rate, it's going to take quite a bit of effort to do so, and it looks like they're looking for a reprieval here and extending that extension. Now, what I want to start with right here is a clip that I have from back in May. We're going to go back as far as April, and it'll be Charles Gasparino and Liz Clayman again that are going to remind us of something very, very important. But it starts right here. So let me hit play on this and give you this. It's only about it's about 40 seconds. Listen to this. And the reality is it's the U.S. Treasury acknowledging for all of us that cryptocurrencies are a medium of exchange for decades to come. And I'm going to show you that right now. And it is 1 second right here. Here we go.
New tax reporting requirements and saying they're going to be needed because cryptocurrencies are going to be so important as a unit of exchange in the decades to come. Back over.
There you have it. Listen, this is the U.S. Treasury saying that we got to have stricter compliance because cryptocurrencies are going to be a unit of exchange for decades to come. Look, that's where we're starting today because we've been told, and if I could move to, I believe it's as recent as right here, and this was just a few days ago, so within a week ago, We were being, and that's not it. Right here is where I want to go right quickly. Right here. So this was just in the last few days here, and we'll get to that information. 5 days ago here, we were reminded that the stable coins in spotlight as the U.S. begins to lay groundwork for rules on cryptocurrency. Sponsors say stable coins are safe, but regulators are concerned about potential risk and financial stability. All of this is good questions. All of these are great assessments and thought points and thinking points for where they need to go. But we've been told, and by, I believe it was Catherine Hune, who is, former Justice Department, and obviously involved in the decision with Ripple back in the day, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And looking at this, she has told us that even as far back as, if I could go here, right here, just 3 days ago, that now that she's working with Andreessen Horowitz, smart stablecoin regulation will be an important piece of modernizing the financial system. Now, I covered this. I'm not going to go back down into this again, but there's a reason that I'm showing you all of this. We all have been focused so heavily on Gary Gensler and what he's going to do, and we know what he's trying to do. And one of the many things that scare me about it is that he wants to control the entire crypto market, from stable coins to crypto. It's not even a guess at this point. One of the scary things about that is that the CFTC, who really has already been given the power from a federal judge ruling to oversee virtual currencies as commodities, the CFTC has been really everything almost silent. Brian Quintez made one comment or two comments when he was there, but guess what? He's at Andreessen Horowitz too now. So there's that to take away from this. Now, with that comment back in May, reminding us that the U.S. Treasury understands the legitimacy of cryptocurrencies and stablecoins, unit of account for decades to come. Very, very big deal, because right now we know that the U.S. dollar is really the unit of account for the world as the global reserve status. This here on September 16th, the Treasury preps stablecoin framework as officials fear stability, redemption risk, and so on and so on, right? All the things you would expect to see from the Treasury and the President's working group. Again, the reason I'm bringing these things to light is because in another couple weeks, they're saying, and Catherine Hahn had even mentioned it in the thread that she had, that I'm not going to go back into, that as soon as early October, which is the next couple weeks, we could see them release a framework from the Treasury and the President's working group for stablecoins and even crypto. Because if they don't consider them securities, then it would be the Treasury who would speak to this, because the Treasury oversees money, even if it's not legal tender status. I think that's an important point here. Now, before we go on, I want to play this clip because this shows you how far back that Liz Clayman and Charles Gasparino, Eleanor Terrett, and everyone else have been involved with understanding what's going on in regulating crypto, and they knew from a macro level that there was a lot of confusion. This is when Hester Peirce was on there. They were discussing about the lawsuit with Ripple, and obviously she didn't speak because she can't. Obviously legally she cannot say anything. And Liz Clayman asked her, will Gary Gensler be looking to take a hatchet or a scalpel to this market? And let's hear what's said here, because Charles Gasparino makes an incredible comment all the way back from April 23rd. Listen to this.
Hester, thanks for joining us. I'm only kidding about the crypto man part on mine. I barely knew what a cryptocurrency was until a couple of weeks ago. But
wait till you hear this exchange.
To be frank, I know a lot of major hedge fund guys that are in this deep. They're worried about regulation. And they keep hearing that it's not necessarily going to start with the SEC, but it's going to start with Treasury. And
that's why we're making this video today. because we're being told as recently as yesterday and the day before and 5 days ago that in the next couple weeks, the Treasury is about to release a framework on stablecoins. Charles Gasparino they're originally focused on the case in the SEC, and he immediately takes it to everyone he's talking to is referring him to the Treasury. Keep listening.
As a matter of fact, when we asked Jen Psaki, the President Biden's press secretary, about crypto regulation, he pointed us to the Treasury Department. So clearly something is happening from Treasury. Is that your understanding, that it's Treasury that's going to give you guys the rules of the road going forward?
Well, I should say that I speak for myself.
Yeah, he shouldn't say that I speak for myself. And I totally get that. And and wheel out the disclaimer from everybody from the SEC, right? These thoughts are my own. They're not of the SEC, yada, yada, yada. And shout out to Hester Peirce. I mean, she's been amazing. It's not taking a shot at her at all. We appreciate her efforts. But I want to continue to play for you what I covered afterwards, because I feel... Look, and it may just be soft recommendations. We may not get like really definitive things from this, and it may be very, very macro, because we don't want to forget that the Treasury, FSOC, the regulatory agency, Financial Stability Oversight Council, connected to the Treasury, they're prudential regulators. The SEC, the CFTC are market regulators. What's the difference? And generally speaking, prudential regulators look at the macro, the overview, and they have more power than the market regulators like the CFTC and the SEC. They don't need the government's approval to do things, but the SEC and the CFTC do, right? So there's that. And the market regulators are more on a ground level, where the prudential regulator at a macro. Listen to this, though. All of a sudden, she's like, look, I'm not speaking for the SEC. Oh, that's straight fire, ladies and gentlemen. Could it be that Gary Gensler is awaiting the Treasury and how they want to move forward? Because the difference here that we're talking about is the difference between a market regulator and a prudential regulator. The prudential regulator looks at the macro, and the market regulator usually deals with the micro, ground level, right? So when we look here, this is why I have for over 2 years been pointing out the U.S. Treasury and the ability of the Dodd-Frank Act and the regulatory agencies connected to the Treasury being the Financial Stability Oversight Council, known as FSOC. And I'm going to read you this right now. The Dodd-Frank Act authorizes the council to designate a financial market utility as systemically important if the council determines that the failure or of a disruption to the functioning of a financial market utility could create or increase the risk of significant liquidity or credit problems spreading among financial institutions or markets, and thereby threaten the stability of the United States financial system. I'm going to stop it right there. And here's some examples really quickly. The CLS Bank International, Chicago Mercantile Exchange, a depository trust company. These are the kinds of entities that have already received a systemically important designation. This is why I believe RippleNet could possibly get some kind of systemically important designation or financial market utility at some point, or the ledger, the XRP ledger, or even the Stellar network, because these protocols are going to move value, not just information like we're currently using on the internet right now. You know, again, recently as this, the U.S. begins to lay ground rules for cryptocurrency. This is coming from the Treasury and the President's Working Group. We got another sign of it just as recently as 3 days ago from Catherine Hahn from Andreessen Horowitz, right? Looking right here is a reminder that Stellar to work with Ukraine on blockchain-based central bank digital currency. They're already being trusted by a central bank to launch one of their digital currencies. What else do we know? So is Ripple. We know that Ripple has a private ledger to pilot the launch for central bank digital currencies for bank, and Bhutan is one of them. Not speculation. This is happening. So when I made the comment years ago that everything runs on the ledger, you have to ask yourself, if the world is going to see these public-private relationships with stable coins from all different facets, from whether we're talking about the USD coin, or somebody wants to develop a stable coin that represents their company and what you buy on their company, right? Or casino coin is really, it's not pegged, obviously, but, things being launched off of the network like stable coins, or even projects like casino coin. How important do you think the ledger is, understanding how efficiently, secure, scalable it is? What does that really mean to governments like the U.S. government? Or what does that really mean to a department like the U.S. Treasury, who understands the value of these decentralized exchange that allow us to move and settle payments instantly, move value instantly? And the other question is, if it's good enough for central banks, who is it not good enough for? Does it get any more high level than central banks and government money and government daily payment flows? Are we to think that it'll be used in that capacity, but it won't be used somehow between Stellar or XLM and XRP and the XRP-Ledger, but it won't be used in any other? I don't know about you, but in the next couple weeks, I'm very excited to see what the U.S. Treasury has to say about this new framework, because it may just give us a peep into the window about how special something like XRP and XLM and the XRP-Ledger actually are. That's going to do it for me. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe, leave a comment below. Something's coming. Tick tock, tick tock. I'll catch you on the next one.